Oi, what's the best game where you get to eat pie? What's the best game where you play a dead guy? Aye, you'll find out in VG247's podcast. Here, what's the best game where you swing from a rope? And what's the best game where you batter the Pope? SSX Tricky. Like I said, you will find out in this here podcast.
Hello and welcome to VG247's Best Games Ever podcast, where we attempt to find the best game within an extremely specific category that we've made up for SEO purposes, apparently. For example, this week we're looking for the best game that has an acronized name like FIFA that isn't FIFA. So you can't have FIFA, but we want to mention FIFA in the title and description as many times as possible. Now, FIFA is, of course, a term that originates in the East End of London, in the sort of Dagenham and Redbridge area, and it stands for football in, football out, which was originally intended as a commentary on the precarious nature of National League football. I, of course, don't know anything about the beautiful game, partly because I'm just not that into sport and my head's too full of Star Trek facts to take a real thing that actually matters to people seriously, but mostly because I'm grotesquely middle class. We're sadly not joined by Tom Murray today because he's away on a secret mission to retrieve the black box for the live podcast we recorded at EGX last week. And that's also why I sound so horrid, because I was there. But I am comforted today by Associate Editor Alex, Guides Editor James, and Staff Writer Sharif.
Hello.
Wonderful. How are you all doing? It's freezing in the UK, Sharif.
All right. It's not freezing in Egypt. So I have a fan on, if you can hear it. So, yeah.
That's good to know. I imagine if it was freezing in Egypt, we'd all be fucked.
It's not that cold here.
Is it not that cold in Solihull?
It's not terrible. I mean, I don't know if that's because I've been benchmarking GPUs and the computer is like
that'd be why.
Heater.
Oh, that's right.
You've been benchmarking 4090s and heating the entirety of Birmingham.
Global warming, it's all just me, basically.
Running Sonic Adventure 2.
Running games that have no business being run on a graphics card.
Yeah, exactly. Just via a Vulkan filter that gives them all ray tracing.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So, acronized name. You can tell Tom wrote this topic, right?
He's gonna this is the thing. He's got it to miss this. This is a him topic.
Oh, it's the most him
and the
topic
funny thing
imaginable.
Is, there was another topic lined up that he didn't want to do, and now we're just doing the topic he wanted to do.
Yeah. He was raging about my other suggestion was best Final Fantasy game that isn't a Final Fantasy game, which he was annoyed at because you were a shoe-in for it.
I knew exactly what I was going to pick. Yeah.
That'll be next week. All right, okay. So, Alex, what is your pick for this one?
I thought about this quite a bit, and there were quite a few that I was tempted with, but I think I'm going to have to go for, and it could be any game in the series. You can take your pick, although I guess there is one particular entry in this series that is the one, and that series is SSX.
Okay.
Wait, hang on. Sorry, Alex. He said acronym. That's an initialism.
How long have you thought about that for? That's a real gotcha.
Since I was told about the subject of this episode.
Snowboard Supercross X.
No,
Snowboard Supercross.
No, you don't say SSX. You say SSX, like
but
GTA.
It is. But SSX is short for Snowboard Supercross. It is SS Cross.
Everything. They're all short of something. That's all the first letter of every whatever sentence you're making out. It has to be pronounced FIFA.
Yeah, but that's just a question of pronunciation.
No, it's a question of fucking English language. There's a clear difference between acronyms and initialism.
And it's not a distinction that we're going to pay any heed to today.
No,
because
this is at the heart of.
The funny thing is, the other things that I thought about choosing are all absolutely more in line, like a more like
initialism.
You put a period in between each of the.
It doesn't matter.
The letters.
The only thing that matters is, do you pronounce it as a one word or not? Is it laser or is it FBI? Basically.
Well, I'm going to jump in here because Sharif is 100% correct. But my choice, like Alex's, is not one of those. and therefore I'm going to fight tooth and nail to say that it was mine.
Okay.
So you're both wrong. Okay.
Well, I'm just going to step in as the host who needs to produce about 30 minutes of podcast material and say we're going to allow it on that basis alone.
Oh God! I've lost faith in this arbiter. He's betrayed the very title of this episode. Anyway,
Well,
it's
thank you for
lasted
listening
that
to the
long.
VG247. All right. No, okay. All right. Objection noted, but carry on, Alex, because we've got
you,
another
Ron.
25 minutes.
Well, these are great. These are the once great games, right? And I think that when I said there's one that stands out, it's obviously Tricky, right?
Yeah.
And I always, it's even the name is like sort of, it's got that cool sort of late 90s, early 2000s thing going on where it wasn't good enough. And actually, you say it's like GTA. I think GTA is probably responsible for this to some degree.
Really?
This obviously would have come out, right around the time that Grand Theft Auto came out. And they didn't call this game Snowboard Supercross, which a generation prior is absolutely what it would have been called.
Yeah.
But they called it SSX.
Yeah.
And that is and then they're great games as well, right? Like EA had such a great energy about so many of its original games. Then this is the period that gave us Burnout as well, and all that sort of stuff. And I think Tricky, its use of that song is just fabulous.
Yeah, it was the golden era of soundtracks, right? Wasn't it? With the
Yeah.
Tony Hawk games, with the Burnout games, like you say, it was just like an absolute.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd say a golden period for like just
kicked off
absolute
by
kick
Crazy
machine.
Taxi, right? Which is like, I'm sure
Yeah,
Alex has
yeah,
talked
probably,
about
yeah.
that before as like a really defining game in your life
Yeah.
musically.
And Skate as well, if I remember right.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit later, right? But like, but this was the era when EA straight up had the EA Sports big brand, which was like EA Sports Fun was what it actually stood for. It was the sports games that weren't po-faced and super serious. So, you know, that was where you got FIFA Street when FIFA Street was good.
Yeah.
And the NBA Street games were great. There was one of those on 360 that
Was Def Jam part of Big?
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
And yeah, like I think SSX, most of them actually are really good. They sort of lost it a little bit later on. They did that reboot on 360, which was okay, but I think it lost some of that crazy energy. And this isn't to say it's my favorite snowboarding game. It's probably I have to defer to the brilliance and the developers smoked a lot of weed energy of Amped 3.
Okay.
Best 360 launch title. The ending sequence for that game, like if you've never played it in your life, maybe just go to YouTube and just search Amped 3 ending and just enjoy how the developers of that game clearly smoked a lot during the games.
We'll have a lot of purists writing and going, you can't just watch the end cuts and you've got to experience the full 30 hours
Well,
before
the
you can
full thing
appreciate
is-
it.
The full thing is good, but SSX is just like, I think, a defining thing. It's one of those franchises where I look at it now, in the year of our Lord 2022, and I'm like, I can't believe EA is just no longer making these games. EA has just abandoned them. It's like the difference between EA and Ubisoft, where Ubisoft does keep having a go at these things, and Ubisoft did what was it? They did Steep, Ubisoft did their little take on it quite recently, but it's like games like this, Command and Conquer, Burnout, it's so weird that EA is just like...
Speaking of po-face, Steep was like, the Assassin's Creedified it for a start, obviously, because they do that to everything. And it's just like, it was just oddly very dull, and you're like, I'm skidding down a mountain on a bit of wood. Nothing about this should be dull. It should be terrifying at least, but no.
I think that engine just has so few kind of play mechanics that they're just like, okay, so we've got towers, we've got
It's probably a dialogue box in a new project where you put in the number of towers straight away.
Something else.
yeah.
But yeah, so all right, SSX Tricky is the specific one.
I think so. I think that is, if you think about what is the best game in that series, for me, that is the one. And it's like, that's a great song, And it's a great song that I knew and liked before I played that game.
Yeah.
However, that is a song I now can't hear without thinking of that game, which I think speaks to the quality of the game. And like I say, it stands for Snowboard Supercross. I also really appreciate when these things use an X instead of a cross to stand for cross. I've got a lot of time for that. It's
it's always one that gives me a bit of pause. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I have to do like a bit of a brain cat. You know that meme of the woman looking at equations. Okay, right. All right, we'll go to James next because you said yours also doesn't technically qualify. And I want to get them out of the way.
That's right. Yeah, I'm quite happy with my choice this week because I think so. Just to flex a little, the last two shows that I've been on, I have won.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
So, and I've been on in 3 in total. And for the first one, I'll let you in on a secret. I chose a game that I thought other people would like more than I really did myself. But then in the last 2, I just picked absolutely random bullshit that I like, and it worked a treat.
It's the best strategy.
So for this time, I've gone with the ultimate party game, the ultimate arcade game, the ultimate play on your own in your bedroom on a Saturday afternoon game. It's DDR, Dance Dance Revolution.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
So,
however, I do have a question here before you get any deeper.
Yeah.
Were any of those games actually called DDR, or is that just what we call them?
No, it's a good point. That is a good point, and they are actually called DDR. If you go on there are some that are called DDR, and if you go on the Wikipedia, it says Dance Dance Revolution in brackets DDR.
Just DDR, East Germany country. So I'm just verifying that. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's I'll fill while you all Google in the background, which is another great audio feature.
I'm learning a lot about the partition of Berlin. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, DDR, it's obviously...
Okay, yeah, I just have to say, yeah, so most of the early ones, which are the ones I'm familiar with, in fact, most of them are called Dance Dance Revolution something, but there are a few in there.
Yeah, there are a few that are called
DDR Max and DDR Max 2 and stuff like that. So
DDR, it's also known as Dance Mat, Dance Pad, all of those sort of stuff. And by the spin-off games, I think it was called... In other regions, there are some spin-offs called like Dancing Stage or whatever. There's all sorts of games in that genre. But it's the huge arcade machines that are made like literally a dancing stage that you stomp on to the directions and the beat of the music. And it's pretty much, I don't know if it's the absolute originator, but it's one of the games that popularized the rhythm genre in general for a lot of people. I think pretty much everybody that I knew wanted or had or played at a friend's or a cousin's or that sort of thing house of they had a dance mat. And it's just a brilliant game with a load of great songs. I think just like with SSX Tricky, everybody thinks about Video Killed the Radio Star in the kind of DDR style. My favorite one, I was trying to work out when it was. I think it was probably about 2002, 2003 that I had it. And absolutely cringe-worthy, hilariously, just soul-crushingly. My favorite song on my version of it was the seminal noughties classic, "The Bad Touch" by the Bloodhound Gang. And I used to play this DDR game with my mum and sing all of the words before I knew what any of them meant to this just sort of raunchy American Pie-esque. I'll stop you there, Jim. Don't go any further with that one. A little Easter egg for the people in the room there. But yeah, it just makes me cringe out of my skin to think about singing all the words to that song with my while stomping up and down with mom. But I think DDR is a brilliant game, and where it kind of, I think, in my opinion, tips things like SSX is the longevity of it. That SSX as a series was very much a flash in the pan, that it rose to prominence with SSX Tricky, which was, I'll admit, a brilliant game. But you look at DDR, started in 1998. It's still coming out in, I think the most recent one was 2019, which makes sense with the kind of pandemic that they're not pumping stuff out to arcades. But it's formula that was fantastic when it came out. It's still fantastic now. If you've got a bit of booze in your body, there's nothing better. It's just a brilliant series, a brilliant game, and a fantastic one.
Many of them emulate really poorly, I could say, as someone with who has tried to get this up and running on my arcade machine. They emulate really poorly, but it speaks to what you said, that I've tried to get it running. And it's funny, it's a game with I guess this is quite a unique phenomenon to arcade games, but it's a game with quite tactile memories. Like, I think of that game and I can practically hear the crinkle of the crappy plastic mats and how playing those mats in socks was extremely perilous, because obviously, you know, they were just so shiny compared to the arcade ones, which are just superior. I for me, it was always the Dancing Stage Euromix games. Had all the amazing Eurotrash club remixes on, and they were always great. In fact, what that makes me want to do is listen to the soundtrack of that, like, as soon as we finish this. I would also say,
a really good one. I can't remember what it was.
Shout out to friend of the site and fellow Read Pop Gamer Network person, Ellen Rose from Outside Xbox or Outside Extra, because she is the best DDR player I have ever seen in my life. Like, we were in some random arcade when we were on, I think it was like a Kingdom Hearts 3 preview trip, and she was like, I haven't seen a DDR machine in ages. Oh my God, I'm going on it. And just like, she hadn't played in like 2 or 3 years, and put it on the hardest difficulty and just smashed it. She's incredible at it. So
just the muscle memory kicking in.
There's a whole genre of YouTube videos that you can go on and see people absolutely smash it in arcades and stuff. It's a similar thing to like Donkey Konga and all of that stuff, that you can see people just go absolutely ham. But DDR is another level of. Oh man, I don't know if it's an actual DDR game, but DDR also has a claim to fame in it featured in the best ever E3 conference, the Konami, the late noughties Konami E3 conference. There was a DDR one. Do you not remember? And the guy,
was that the DDR? I thought it was
1 million troops conference.
It was the 1 million troops.
I thought it was the what is it? Daiku no Tachusen or whatever.
Oh, it's all the same. It's all Konami. It's all DDR in it.
No, this one is like a drumming game kind of.
Apparently they did show off Dance Revolution 2, which obviously that was like some sort of sequel to a reboot,
Weird.
I guess.
Okay.
That was also the year they did a karaoke revolution game that was all music from Glee. Very 2010.
Yeah.
Extremely 2010.
Yeah, I think the one he's talking about is the one where the host was holding a Wiimote and flipping the F out. That's
the Nintendo.
It was a very
that was the
similar
Wii
one,
Music
but that is still
Conference,
Oh,
the best
wasn't
conference.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember like Koji Igarashi with a cowboy hat on,
Yeah.
talking about Castlevania, and a guy pretending his head fell off, like with doing a magic trick.
The same guy.
That was definitely where the Kinect Wii Sports knockoff was as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It was the same guy whose head fell off. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy whose head fell off was doing DDR. I think it was the Kinect one. But anyway, I've derailed it. I think DDR is brilliant. I'll take the prize now, thanks.
All right. Well, we still have to hear from Sharif, and I'm really excited.
Why do you say it like
hear.
that? Like it's we still have, like,
No, it was just.
I am an undefeated champion. I feel like I should deserve more than.
I was just explaining. I was just reiterating to James the format of the podcast, which is that we hear from everyone.
I feel like I know what Sharif will have picked, but let's see.
But I'm excited to hear from. As far as we're aware, the only person who's actually stuck to the brief. So
wonder
take
why.
it away. Take it away.
So I thought long and hard about this. I happen to love a bunch of games that are both in the spirit and the litter of this episode. Like, for example, the amazing Stalker series. Love it to death.
Yeah.
Or the underappreciated Ubisoft Ace Combat knockoff.
No,
Hogs. I did not pick
terrible.
Hog. I did not pick, but it is
terrible.
Good. It was good. I also love it because they do the thing where they start off really well by having one letter to represent every word, and then at the end of it, you're like, let's just mix all these together in one. So it's HAWX, and it stands for High Altitude Warfare. And then you imagine, like, okay, what's X? It's Experimental Squadron. So not E and not S, and they just put X in there, and just like they gave up on it. My real actual pick is F.E.A.R.
I knew it was going to be
I knew it.
First encounter assault
It's also
recon.
not good.
It is one of the best shooters ever made. What are you talking about, James? It's not good.
One
What
of
are
the
you
best
talking
shooters
about?
ever made.
Yes.
It's okay, but crikey,
Oh my god!
O'Reilly.
No. F.E.A.R. is, to this day, I'm still amazed that no one tried to replicate that. And I'm specifically talking about the first game. The other two may as well just.
I mean, I think making that point plays into James's hands there, but all right, carry on.
But well, you know, a lot of series, like you can't say that SSX remained good for all of its iterations or DDR, right? Like this is no fault of the pick. I just think that F.E.A.R. 1 specifically is, like, to me, the first time I saw that game and the first time I played it, well, first of all, the first thing that I realized upon playing it is that I need to upgrade my graphics card because that thing ran real bad. And I for some reason, I have really good memory of all the games that made me upgrade my graphics card or upgrade my PC. And this is one of them. And that's not to say that the game is not good and it's just like some rose-tinted glasses BS. F.E.A.R. is what if Max Payne was a first-person shooter and then significantly more bloody? That's basically F.E.A.R. It's a first-person shooter, nothing really too special on story or level design, but you can slow down time and watch as the shotgun shells penetrate the bodies of these poor souls and wreck the environment around you, and all this chaos, and see them screaming. There are really good screams in that game. Please don't take that out of context. It is such a fascinating symphony of chaos, that game, with the slow motion, with all the really chunky gun sounds, with all the shattered glass and all the cement coming off the walls and all that stuff. And then they didn't stop there. They also gave you a kick. And it's not just any kick. It's a high kick where you jump and then slap that with slap these people when you're on the ammo or whatever it is that you do. And it's so good. It's
the successor of the Duke Nukem kick, really. Is what
Yeah.
it is.
Is this post-Matrix? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm really, like I said, I'm really sad no one tried to do this. Like people tried to do pretty much all the classic shooters. They did Doom, Classic Doom, and New Doom. The only game that I can think of that's actually trying to do F.E.A.R. Is an indie game called Trepang 2. There's no Trepang 1. They just call it Trepang 2. I don't know why. That's supposed to come out this year, and it's an indie thing where it's basically, what if we made basically combat encounters inspired by F.E.A.R.? And I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, F.E.A.R. is just love it to death.
Wow. I mean, what did you call it? A symphony of violence?
Yeah, it's a symphony of destruction, chaos.
Symphony of chaos.
That
was a great line. Christ.
I think of it in that same sort of category as Soldier of Fortune. I mean, that's an older game, right? But Soldier of Fortune was that game where
you could shoot people's limbs off.
It was really cool, bloody and gory, and
Yeah.
that was it was a good shooter. But also a big thing about it was like how brutal it was.
Yeah.
And there's definitely an element of that in F.E.A.R. And of course, obviously, remember it's sort of a low key. I say low key, sort of a high key horror game as well.
Sure, yeah, there's some horror elements in
I mean,
there.
there's like some proper carry shit in F.E.A.R., isn't there?
Yeah.
It's ring stuff, right? It's the little
Yeah,
creepy
yeah.
little
Yeah, it's a
girl
little
thing.
creepy little goal. Yeah, but I would
Scared the
say
shit
that
out of me.
F.E.A.R.
I never even got as far as the time mechanic.
I'd say that F.E.A.R. holds up way more than Soldier of Fortune, because Soldier of Fortune was ultimately built on that gimmick.
Yeah. The
but
best thing about
F.E.A.R.
Soldier of Fortune was that you could shoot a guy's leg off, right? And the bone would be sticking out of it like a drumstick.
Yeah.
And
For some
that's
reason,
the entire game.
I can't remember if it's one or two, but one of the Soldier of Fortunes, there's you go into like a public bathroom in like a place, and I remember having a lot of fun there. I can't remember the specifics, so maybe my memory got blocked somehow. But I seem to remember people, taking a pass and me going in doing stuff. I don't remember what it was.
Enjoying
Take that one out of context.
enjoying having fun in bathrooms. My chief memory of Soldier of Fortune is the back of the box. I think for Soldier of Fortune 2, where it was talking up the bullet points of the game, and the first one was travel to exotic locations and meet interesting people and dispatch them. Which is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So, wow. Well, I mean, I think, that was an incredibly good pitch for F.E.A.R. I've played the first game way back when it came out, and it was one of those things, if I remember rightly, it was kind of like a Half-Life 2 thing where people were buying graphics cards to run it.
Yes.
Because it was a real graphics showcase. It was like the Crisis of its day.
Yeah.
And I think my PC ran at about 12 frames a second, which, if anything, just added to the horror of the whole thing. But you maybe want to go back and play them again. So, did they come out on anything else?
The original is only PC, and the original and its expansions is the only one that matters as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
The other two are fine shooters. They are nowhere near as good as F.E.A.R.
Yeah.
You can play them now on PC. Crank that to 4K, 240 FPS if you want, and just you can get them for, I'm sure, $5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and check that out, because you've really, really sold that to me, and I think
the thing
it's
that
like
I would
unfinished
say,
business in my head from when I was a teenager.
the thing that I would say, and this is both a plus and a minus, I guess, is that had I not picked SSX, I would have picked F.E.A.R. However, the reason I didn't pick F.E.A.R. is because I didn't think it was quite enough for the best game moniker.
If we're comparing, like, keep in mind, we're doing this because
this whole
of FIFA.
podcast is comparing apples and oranges, right?
No,
So-
but I don't know what you're comparing as the FIFA. F.E.A.R. is absolutely better than goddamn FIFA. There's no contest.
There was no claim as to the quality of FIFA made at any point.
Like, I'm saying, if we were all to disappear tomorrow and only one game with the acronyms would survive, I will take F.E.A.R. over FIFA any day of the week. Like, just saying.
I'm surprised.
I've got one more argument, actually. I think so. To wrench it back to a straight swap fight out between me and Alex, which is what I want in this situation, I think. I'm not quite sure when SSX came out.
2000. Well, 2000 for the original, 2001 for Tricky.
But I can very much say that it was the best snowboarding game that came out in that year. Every year that a DDR game comes out, it's the best dance mat game that comes out in that year. In 2005, F.E.A.R. was not even the best horror shooter that came out. That title has to go to Resident Evil 4.
Who the hell is comparing Resident Evil to F.E.A.R.? James, come on. Come on.
Horror shooter, Resi 4.
There's some horror in there.
F.E.A.R.
No, you compare F.E.A.R. to Half-Life, man. You compare F.E.A.R. to PC shooters, not Resident Evil. Resident Evil is not even in this discussion.
And Resi is, of course, an acronym in itself, isn't it? It's
no, that's that's an
it's Resident Evil shooters.
Resident Evil stick it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Like we've heard enough, and I think everyone at home is probably very tired. Certainly I am, but it might be the gigantic hoodie I'm wearing. I feel like I'm actually still in bed. It's quite nice. Okay, right. So I've got to pick something now. And I think Alex and James know this is coming. But
this is bullshit.
Given that Sharif was on a technicality that I wasn't actually thinking of until he pointed it out, admittedly, but he played a blinder, he is the only one who has actually picked a qualifying game. So on that basis, he's won by default. So unfortunately, we have to say that F.E.A.R., and I say unfortunately because
No!
A hollow, empty victory.
It's not empty. It's a good game.
wanna-
accurate.
I mean, I don't want Sharif to be too happy about it. I want this to feel like the hollow, empty victory that it is, because I don't want anyone to be happy today.
As hollow and empty as the first-person shooter corridors of mid-noughties PC
I
games.
refuse to accept that F.E.A.R is the best game in this category, but it's the only one that anyone's come up with today. So it wins by default. Everyone's miserable. And it's what Tom would have wanted, frankly.
Yeah, I wonder.
How fitting for the time we live in.
Like I said, you will find out in this here podcast.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps us get the word out. We're not just a podcast, of course. If you'd like to hear more from the team, then check out VG247.com for our fantastic news coverage, features, reviews, and game guides. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.